Hi everyone, hope you're keeping safe and doing super amazing. If it's your first time here, my name is James and I'm from Sydney, Australia. Today's video is going to be centered around the Epipremnum Aureum Snow Queen that I have over here, or otherwise known as the Njoy if you're in other parts of the world. I'm going to give you some simple tips and tricks on how you can continue to enjoy your plant. Remember, if you liked today's video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and tap that bell icon so you get notifications so you don't miss any updates when new videos drop. The Epipremnum Aureum is commonly known as pothos or devil's ivy. If you're in Australia, the variety that I have over here is called the Snow Queen, whereas in other parts of the world is referred to as the Njoy. Now, for the purposes of today's video, I'll continue to refer to this as the Snow Queen to make things easier, and since we're in Australia. The Snow Queen is a natural branch mutation and it can change and evolve over time. So sometimes when you Google images, it can be a little bit confusing. I did make a video previously about how to determine different pothos or Epipremnum types, which you're free to check out if you wanted to. I first purchased this plant from Bunnings about a year and a half ago. It's quite a juvenile plant for about $12. And at the time I was trying to decide between a marble queen and a snow queen. I eventually chose this one because a lot of my friends advocated for its beauty and I really vibe with it these days. It's got these amazing patterns that look like brush strokes essentially, and I'm really drawn to the green and white that it's producing. It's almost like variegation. Anyway, my dear friend Alicia ended up gifting me another snow queen, and what we did was basically combine the two together to give it more of a fuller look. Just a simple plant hack if you wanted to make your plant look a lot more luscious. Admittedly, I've been a little bit helicopter with this plant because originally I had it on a trellis climbing upwards. Now, when I went over my good friend Alicia's house, I noticed that her pothos or snow queen was trailing and it looked phenomenal. So I wanted to make mine trail as well. Soon after, I removed that trellis, pulled it off those stakes, and then made it vine downwards, but I actually planted it on the top layer of the soil to encourage new nodes to produce new leaves. Then I ended up repotting it a couple months later, which probably stressed it out a little bit more because I did this massive repotting day. I generally like to repot my plants on the same day just to make things easier. I then tried to vine it downwards again, and then it's only started to vine downwards again here. So unfortunately, I have been back and forth on this, making it climb upwards or making it vine downwards. Essentially, I recommend you just choose one path and go with that one. You can't go wrong, they look great either way. Anyway, let's go through some care tips. I've done a bit of experimentation with this one, so I'm happy to share with you what I've learned in the past year and a half. Care tip number one, lighting. So I first had this snow queen sitting in medium light, and I did notice that when it was trailing downwards that the internodal spaces were quite large, meaning that the stems were growing quite long and it didn't look very bushy or very luscious. As a result of most plants, usually when they're not getting enough light, the stems will grow longer because they're trying to reach out for that light. And that's what was happening with my snow queen when I first had it sitting in medium light. When I moved it closer to bright indirect light, that's when I started to notice the plant was a little bit more fuller. So if you see this vining over here, the spacing has closed up a bit and it's looking a lot more healthier and fuller as it should. In optimum conditions, you want to keep your pothos or snow queen in bright indirect light. They will do the best in that condition. Care tip number two is on watering. So you want to make sure you're saturating the soil completely in your water and then allowing the water to drain through to the bottom of the drainage holes, assuming that you've got this in a pot that has drainage holes at the bottom. Make sure that you're tipping and discarding that excess water when you do, because you don't want that water to suck back up, which could cause root rot.
Hot tip, wait till the soil dries out before watering it next. Use your finger to check if the soil is dry before watering.
Once a month, I'm applying a liquid fertilizer to my watering, which allows it to promote additional growth and make sure that you're cutting it back in the winter months. Care tip number three is on soil. So pothos are known to be super invasive in some countries and some areas, such as Florida, Hawaii, and have swallowed whole forests in Sri Lanka. So in terms of potting mix, they are pretty easy. I go for whatever's convenient in my inventory. However, if you want the best sale or the best soil for your pothos or snow queen, you basically can use a well aerated but water retention soil. Now, to make things easier, go for a premium potting mix, about 60 to 70%, but add other items such as perlite or charcoal, which will increase the aeration of your mix. I'll leave some items in the description box if you wanted a shopping list. Care tip number 4 is on maintenance. Now I find that too much care for the Snow Queen or Pothos can generally lead to its destruction. The other month I decided to give it a shower because I want to hose down the leaves and give it a good soaking, and usually that washes off any debris or dirt or etc. on top of the leaves. Now that was a bit too much for my Snow Queen. I found that it absolutely hated me after I showered it. It started to throw yellow leaves, so really the tip here is make sure that you're keeping the leaves dry. They'll hate it if their leaves are wet, and they'll generally cause a little bit of drama to show you that they don't like it. Also make sure that you're pruning your Snow Queen regularly, because pruning allows it to remove the stored energy and then promote new growth. And finally, the last care tip is on styling. Now you can have your Snow Queen trailing or climbing, it's really up to you. They will do well in both. However, mine's gone through a tennis match, which is really unconventional, where I've had it climbing and then trailing and then climbing and then trailing again. So don't do that. I think once you decide whether you want it trailing or climbing, keep it in that position and then sort of let it grow. It'll thank you for it. I've personally seen some amazing results on both trailing and climbing. I think with climbing, if you have it on a moss pole, you'll see the leaves get larger because those roots essentially can shoot into the moss pole and then facilitate and promote larger leaves. However, trailing looks amazing as well. Bigger leaves don't necessarily mean better, it's dependent on your aesthetic. So in summary, make sure you're giving it plenty of bright indirect light, giving it plenty of water, but make sure that the soil is drying out before you water it next. If you're repotting, give it a well aerated but water retention soil mix. It'll love you for it. Make sure you're pruning it regularly. Decide whether you want it trailing or climbing, your personal preference. And finally, make sure you keep the leaves dry, because they will cause some drama if their leaves are wet. Good luck. If you made it to the end of this video, I just want to say thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Remember, if you liked today's video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and tap that bell icon to get notifications so you don't miss any updates when new videos drop. If you have any comments or suggestions on what type of videos I could make in the future, feel free to drop a comment. I would love to hear from you. Now on to plant bants and rants. I'll see you there.
Welcome to Plant Rants and Bants, where I showcase some cool, funny, or interesting plant content that I find online. So there's been a lot of hype lately around putting your Monstera aerial roots in water to promote growth these past couple of months. No, I first started seeing this circulate around July 2021, which has been doing the rounds on social. This photo here is one of my mate Christine's Monsteras, where she's suspended her aerial roots in little water containers. Everyone on social media is swearing by this method that they're getting more growth and more leaves. I mean, to each their own, but I also saw this photo and thought it was astounding to share. As you can see, he's got all these aerial roots tucked into these massive vases. For the record, this particular person has been doing it for years now, but man, I cannot imagine how this would be maintained. Not to mention, my OCD is absolutely triggering me. But anyway, I saw someone else watering their aerial roots, so I started watering my aerial roots. If you know, you know.